Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10. Om, all hail to Almighty Vasudeva. Shonaka said, having dispatched the proud usurper vain, who sought to deprive him of his just reign, how did Yudhisthira, with justice endued, with his brethren govern the multitude? What forms of righteousness did he pursue? And what else did that pious monarch do? Sutta said, as bamboo is consumed by forest fire, the Kuru clan was about to expire, but that the seed was graciously restored by the world sustainer, Hari, the Lord. And that Almighty One was pleased to see Yudhisthira restored to prosperity. After having heard all that Bhishma said, and by the Lord Achyuta comforted, purity by such discourse he attained, and with right conduct over the earth reigned. He ruled with faithful brothers to attend, as Indra on Ajita doth depend. Parjanya showered timely from the sky, the earth provided for great luxury. The cows graze freely and wander around, and milk, delighted, shower on the ground. From mountains to the sea the rivers glide, and for the king necessities provide, and plants and flowers in the laboured field varieties of plants and simples yield. During the king Ajatasatru's reign, none were afflicted by the threefold pain, no distemper, no sore anxieties in his kingdom who has no enemies. For a few months Lord Hari there remained, in the city after the elephant named, to give comfort to his friends with courtesies, to console them and his sister to please. Taking his permission, he came to greet and bowed him down at Yudhisthira's feet. Bowed to and embracing, he mounts his car to journey on to his city afar. Subhadra, Draupadi and Kunti came, Virata's child, Gandhari known to fame, Dhritarashtra and Yuyutsu his son, the twins and Gautama the learned one. Vrikodara and Dhaumya there remain, and all the palace ladies forward came. The fisherman's daughter was also there, and none of them the severance could bear. Some faint away, intolerant of woe, parting from him who bears the Sharanga bow. Society of the good and holy removes the vice of evil company. Who having his glory but once joy takes, perceiving it he never then forsakes. What then of those whose conscious faculty is absorbed in the Lord exclusively? How can the sons of Pandu tolerate the severance from him with whom they sate, with whom they beheld to deep friendship disposed, whom they touched, and with whom they oft reposed, with whom they partook their meals and conversed, with whom they were in fond friendship immersed? Without blinking they gazed after the Lord, and with soft melting hearts they him adored. By ties of fond affection firmly bound, they moved beside, before him, and around. The ladies were to self-control compelled, and stifled the tears that in their eyes welled, to avoid ill omen, but came to see, departing thence, the son of Devaki. Mridanga drums and conches all around, dunduri, anaka, and bells resound. The dundubi drums rumble and vibrate, the woodwind and the strings reverberate. The Kuru women mount the palace top, and flowers, while he passes, on him drop. By fond affection for Krishna beguiled, they glanced upon him bashfully and smiled. The one who over sleep had gained control raised up a pearl-rimmed bright white parasol. With gem-studded handle and silk brocade, he reared above his dear friend for shade. Uddhava and Satyaki on each side, in circling motions, chamara whisks plied. Flowers were scattered all along the road as Madhu's lord set off for his abode. The benedictions and the benizons pronounced by the train of the twice-born ones, such as "Live long," were true and apposite, superfluous but affording delight. The damsels there would mutually converse of him who is praised in exquisite verse. The city women's soft prattle enchants, more captivating than the Vedic chants. Certainly this is he, the Ancient One, self-subsisting before creation. He is the ruler whence gunas evolve, in whom thereafter the gunas resolve. Thus, having manifest and brought to light, he then withdraws the world in dormant night. And this is he whose power all controls, who wakens again the dormant jiva souls, and once more, forth projecting creation, endows them with form and designation, and to the benefit of all disposed, the revelation of Scripture composed. Verily, this is he whom devotees, who having senses controlled by degrees, by their devotion fond and deep, behold, to them the pure conception doth unfold. And certainly, with consciousness refined, there is no better way to cleanse the mind. My dear friend, it is a certainty, he is sung in the Vedic mystery, and the knowers of that mystery thus his deeds and exploits recite and discuss. He is the one ruler who by display creates, sustains, dissolves, detached in play. When ignorance and vice predominate, kings are degraded to the lowest state. He thereupon makes his divine descent, with truth and light and power radiant. To graciously bestow fortune and weal, his beauty and renown he doth reveal, wherewith sublime splendour he radiates, and thus from age to age he incarnates. Ah me, alas, how may one praise the grace bestowed upon the pious Yadu race? Ah me, with what great fortune hath been blessed the wide dominions of Madhu forest, where the foremost of beings strays, where he who is the husband of the goddess Shri was born and crawled about as an infant, revealing divine glory radiant. Oh, wondrous! How heaven's radiance pales, and now the glory of the earth prevails, since here is that great glorious city, replete with bounty, fair Chs.10. There with their Lord the dwellers receive grace to always look upon his smiling face. Certainly, my dear friend, this understand. Those damsels who have given him their hand must have performed vows and sanctities and sacrificed the Almighty to please, and thus they may always enjoy the bliss to sip the nectar of his lips and kiss, which Braja's damsels, even to recall, would faint away and into a swoon fall. His valour was the bride price that he paid in the bride's own self-election parade, and the vain kings like Chedi he subdued and overturned the hostile multitude. From him those ladies mighty heroes bore, like Pradyumna, Samba, and many more, and with thousands of damsels more he wived, when tyrant Boma was of life deprived. These women, though devoid of purity, have glorified their femininity, though without independence they have raised themselves to lofty heights and must be praised. Since in their homes the lotus-eyed one stays, and never from their society strays, and with the gifts and love that he imparts, profoundly affects them, touching their hearts. Thus by the city women he was praised, to the lofty heights of eloquence raised. He did responsive smiles of love convey, and thus delighted Hari took his way. The pious king, who had no enemy, sent forth a fourfold armoured company to escort the one who dread Madhu slew, not out of fear, but love and honour due. After a long way with Sauri they pressed, by thoughts of impending absence distressed. He urged the Kauravas home to repair, and hastened to his city with friends dear. He passed the Kuru Jangala and land of 5 rivers, Surasen and the strand of Yamuna, then Brahmavarta famed, Kurukshetra and the land Matsya named. He pressed on through Saraswata's domain and crossed the regions of the desert plain. Danvan, Sauvir, Abhir he passed, and west to Anarta he came at last. Traversing of land such a wide extent, his noble steeds by weariness were spent. Here and there, as along the road he sped, Hari was worshipped, gifts were presented, and arrived when the sun went to his rest, over the ocean in the distant west. Thus ends chapter 1 in book 10 of the great and glorious Bhagavata Purana, the text beloved of swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa. Chapter 11. Suta said, arrived at the confines of his domain, where good fortune and prosperity reign, he blew a mighty blast on his conch shell, the gloom of separation to dispel. When he of mighty strides his seashell blew, the pure white conch, reflecting the red hue which from his lower lip and hand divine with a roseate and pleasing lustre shine, e'en as a swan that on a lake abides, and through the lotus clusters cooing glides. The blast of that resounding conch to hear threatened the very cause of fear with fear, and when the subjects their master's shell heard, they hastened forth to see him eager stirred. They made gifts to the self-sufficient one, as lamps are offered to Ravi the sun, since he it is his subjects for to please supplies largesse of all necessities. Their faces bloomed with smiles at his sight. With broken voices expressed their delight. They saw him as the Saviour who defends, like father to his wards, the best of friends. We bow down to your lotus feet, O Lord, by Virinchi and his offspring adored. And great Indra of the gods worships you. From you ultimate welfare will ensue to those who desire the supreme gain, and thus favoured the cherished goal attain. You are the omnipotent Lord divine, transcendent to the ravages of time. O Lord, in whom the universe exists, and by whose operation it subsists, we see in you a Lord who can defend, our mother, father, preceptor, and friend. Since you are our beloved deity, we flourish in joy and prosperity. Ah me, what grace doth fortune us afford, to have your honoured self as our dear Lord, since gods themselves can hardly gain the sight of your smiling, expressive of delight, but we your auspicious beauty can see with glances full of love and amity. O lotus-eyed, when with friends far away you with the Kurus and the Madhus stay, O Achyuta, the time to us appears as though it were 100,000,000 years, or as without the sun, Ravi's fair light, the eyes are blinded and deprived of sight. How can we, Lord, the long severance bear without your glance, which dries up pain and care? Your most gracious, propitious smile divine does on your beautiful countenance shine. If we in want of this vision remain, how may we then our weary lives sustain? Thus hearing what the faithful subjects said, his glances graciously distributed. The one known for his love and amity for his devotees entered the city, which Madhu, Bhoja, Arha dynasties, Dasarha and Kukura families, strong as himself, Andaka and Vrishni, guarded as Naga's guard, Bhogavati. There glory of all seasons was displayed, where pious trees and creepers offer shade, the forest gardens and each calm retreat, and lotus ponds emitted fragrance sweet. From the high gateway spread the ample road, and decorated arches festive glowed. Pennons and flags with colourful displays afforded shade, blocking the sun's hot rays. The high roads and the by-roads were swept clean, and market stalls with precious objects gleam. The public forum there was sprinkled o'er with water scented with finest odour. Their fruits and flowers were scattered around, unbroken rice was strewn upon the ground. At each and every home, from door to door, unbroken rice was laid upon the floor. Fruit, sugar cane, and brimming pots were there, with offerings of lamps and incense rare. Hearing their most beloved one had come, Vasudeva, the great high-minded one, with Akrura and Ugrasen proceeds, as well as Rama of the wondrous deeds. And Pradyumna with Charudeshna came, and Jambavati's son, well known to fame, Samba, and all were filled with eagerness, with longing, in transport of happiness. Reclining, sitting, eating in the hall, they rose hastily and abandoned all. The royal elephants before were led, the Brahmins sacred incantations read, The conch shell and the bugle horns resound, and Vedic hymns were chanted all around. With love the crowd of subjects forth proceeds, excited, on cars drawn by noble steeds. On their conveyances, approaching nigh, to see him came hundreds of hetairai, revealing their beauties and their graces, with earrings sheen on cheeks and bright faces. Mummers and dancers and choristers came, and bards who genealogies proclaim, and rhapsodists in song the deeds rehearse of that Lord wondrous, praised in charming verse. Thereupon to the Almighty One wends his faithful subjects and his bosom friends. They received him with cordiality, in order due, according to degree. He bowed to some, to others spoke with grace. He seized the hands of some would embrace. He pleased all with his smiling glances bright, exalted the lowly with fond delight. All the blessings to which they might aspire, he granted in accord with their desire. Then he with elders and the Brahmins came, with their wives, as also the halt and lame, and blessed by his admirers and friends, the Lord into the city forward wends. Along the royal road, as Krishna goes, the ladies of Dwarka eager rose, and ascending their rooftop balcony, gaze upon him, a festival to see. Those Dwarakensians enjoyed the grace to look unsurfeited upon the face of Achyuta, the infallible one, whose limbs always with rarest beauty shone, upon whose chest the goddess Shri abides, his face the cup that eye nectar provides, in whose arms rest the guardian deities, his lotus feet refuge for devotees. A white umbrella o'er his head was reared, and flowers from the sky like rain appeared, and fragrant blossoms thus cover the road. His yellow robes and flower garland glowed, as if from a cloud the moon and sun bright sparkled with flashing of the lightning bright. Entered his father's home, he greets him fair, and is embraced by all the matrons there. With reverence for them he bowed his head, to all the seven by Devaki led. Then, taking their dear son onto their laps, from affection milk trickled from their paps, and with vicissitudes of joy upset, their garments both from tears and milk were wet. Now entered he his palace, as beseems, where waited him some 16,000 queens. The palace domes to kiss the sky aspire, and where accomplished is every desire. These consorts of the Lord were blithe and gay, to him behold after many a day, which was a grand festival for the mind, they rose up sudden, and their seats resigned. They forsook their vows of austerity, and gazed with faces bright with modesty. Their sons they sent before to look on him, and contemplative embraced him within. O foremost of the Brigus! As they drew near, they could not withhold the dropping of a tear. Although he was always close by their side, and did always in privacy confide, despite this constant contact with his feet, they perceived fresh novelty sweet. And verily I wonder who is there that could the refuge of those feet forswear? E'en goddess Shri, known for her fickleness, those feet does not forsake, nevertheless. Those ruling princes who had taken birth were an unwieldy burden to the earth. Proud of their grand military array, vast multitudes entered upon the fray, occasioned by the fire of mutual strife, and in the contest were deprived of life. E'en as the wind by friction doth ignite the bamboo grove, they were impelled to fight. Thus he, the Lord illustrious and great, was in the world of mankind incarnate, and revelled with those jewels of women as though he were an ordinary man, with high emotion expressing delight, and soft smiling cast from side glances bright, such charms as could make Cupid's angry foe in excess of confusion drop his bow. Yet by such witcheries they could not bind or disturb his serenity of mind. He was regarded by the common man as one attached to worldliness like them. Thus mankind do generally project, and their own faults in other men detect. But this of the Lord's lordliness is proof, though entering nature he is aloof, as those who in self-consciousness remain, though contacting nature, are free from stain. Those soft damsels innocently adored him whom they deemed their uxorious lord. They played, not knowing his divinity, as even the common crowd do not see. Thus ends chapter 11 in book 1 of the great and glorious Bhagavat Purana, the text beloved of swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa.